Diego is up to in the world of technology. Diego, take it away.
All right, thank you very much. So we're hoping to also join Coca at his Gold Coast area and have some little fun after all these tech stories and all that. All right. Coca, free gates, please. I need a drink.
How you got
I need a free drink. I need one whole Thank you very much in advance. All right, it's time to get into Tech Talk. And as usual, every Thursday we bring you an episode of technology conversation. Everything technology, from cars to reviews to artificial intelligence, data science, everything else we discuss right here on the show. And it's another opportunity to bring you another way of you learning something new today. Today I've been joined by the CEO of Delbon Technology. It says John Bonuedi, and we're talking about emerging technologies. What are the job opportunities? Are there any? Have we even started yet? Do we have proper technologies being pushed here in Ghana at all? Well, we're going to talk about all that. And then if you want to join us, feel free. The social media is active and WhatsApp is also active. You can also join us and send your 2 cents on the conversation, and we'll read it in between. Welcome, boss.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll delve into the conversation and let you know everything about the emerging technologies happening here in Ghana and elsewhere. Stay with us. All right, you're still welcome, and it's still head start right here on our studios here at Labone. It's Kwesa TV, and it's a Thursday edition. Of course, we're bringing you Tech Talk. And as I told you from the preamble or the introduction of the show, this is where we talk everything technology, from reviews to discussion of whatever is trending in the world of technology. And today, I've been joined once again by John Bonuedi. He's the CEO of Delbon Technologies, and we're talking about emerging technologies and the job opportunities that are available. All right, so on that note, let me start off with this story that I did on Tech Talk conversation 2 days ago. So Ghana Tech Lab to incubate 28 artificial intelligence startup ideas. And the story says, in all, 300 young and passionate innovators partook in this boot camp, of which 104 representing 35% of participants were females. In the end, 56 promising entrepreneurs were adjudged as having the deserving AI startup ideas to move into the GTL incubator program. These 56 young entrepreneurs were in teams of 2, making 28 teams in all. So it looks like some way, somehow, we are doing some bit of technology, but how have we started? But I'd like us to take a look at, let's backtrack a little and see, in the next 5 years, what are the jobs that are likely to be obsolete?
Well, in the next 5 years, in lots of areas, when you take the manufacturing, for instance, you'd have a lot of human interface taking out, because human beings introduce a lot of errors, and sometimes our judgments are impaired when it comes to repetitive, work. So in such areas, we would want to automate, because it brings more efficiency. It can introduce. You would realize that a lot of our industries here in Ghana,
even in the banking sector,
yes,
laid off because they introduce some apps,
exactly,
and all that.
Because now every sector is selling convenience. So if you're selling convenience, consumers don't want to leave their homes and their jobs to go to the bank. So then they'd have computer interfaces that can easily have them authenticated and have banking done without. So a lot of these sectors would see a lean workforce, predominantly in the back end, and having less people. In the front end.
Okay,
exactly.
All right. So now let's talk about the emerging technologies. What do you talk about emerging technology? What are we talking about?
So basically, when we talk about emerging technology, it has to do with technologies that are now in their developmental stages. They're not yet ubiquitous. They are in the labs. So predominantly they are spearheaded by institutions, little startups, governments, and sometimes universities and institutions. So they incubate. These are countries that have already assessed their needs, and they've come to the to the point where they've discovered their pain points. And so to introduce efficiency, they go to the labs to innovate and research new technologies and new ways of improving the already existing infrastructure that they have. So then that competition, and of course it goes with funding, and then all that engenders the field of emerging technologies.
Okay, so we've heard about 5G being blown up there in the UK.
Right.
I've read some few stories that talk about Manchester, for instance, or Massachusetts having little issues with the 5G not being too strong and all that. Just today, there was a story from North Korea that they've also started implementing the 5G and all that. What are we doing here in Ghana? I mean, I can vouch for the government talking about the interoperability, and then also introducing paperless things at the ports and all that. And here recently, they're trying to even add another paperless kind of thing in Kolebu and other hospitals, so that you don't need to be carrying folders and all that around. But then again, the question is, are we really ready?
I don't think we're ready. No, we're not ready at all, because like I said initially, these countries have sat down, planned, review their systems, and actually know their pain points, and they have lots of policy driving the technologies they implement. Here in Ghana, everything is ad hoc. In Ghana, we have fundamental issues. We have, road problems, electricity, health care, even the no-bed syndrome and all that. We're fundamental issues that we're dealing with. So technology is not really, a forefront issue for us. And so we may be talking about, 5G and all that, but it also the economic sense. Are companies demanding it? I mean, for instance, Kwesa TV may be reliant on its OB van and its satellite links to actually whatever. But then 5G could have given you 20 gig of bandwidth off your phone, and you could actually do all this production through your phone, for instance. But then the infrastructure is quite expensive, and so our business is ready to expend that much money to innovate and to transform the sector. That is another thing.
Looks like they're even relying on the donor agencies. So, for instance, the story that I read apparently is from World Bank. They're trying to support the SMEs and entrepreneurs here in Ghana to beef up their businesses with AI, artificial intelligence. Even the president launching, or the government launching the Ghana Post, you're supposed to even download that thing on your app. How many people are so educated to even have that thing downloaded on their phone, to even know what to access, what to punch in and all that? And it looks like the human resource themselves need to be educated first.
Well, human resources need to be educated. However, the need, technology must, must drive industry, or industry must drive technology, because technology is just a tool, a vehicle, that can be used to do anything. But then the demand from the industry would then engender that environment where people go into the learning and then service provision of these emerging technologies. So there has to be, a nationwide policy driving AI. The story you just mentioned is just a donor agency coming in to say,
yes,
we need a few people to learn AI. But what is the use? What is it going to be applied to? See, out there, they may have perhaps these CSPS issue that brought about some chaotic situations. It was like we're living in the Stone Ages again. People rushing, running all over the stadium. All that could have been solved with a simple computer system.
Yeah. But it's even computerized already, but yet there are flaws.
A computer system that will not be interfered with by humans. That kind of thing.
Okay.
So again, it is our needs. I mean, we need to have a national conversation where we're talking about applying technology, using technology to drive our industry. If the need is not there, if we don't create the need, and of course, creating the need also must go with funding. So then we must then fund the universities and institutions of learning to actually develop these technology.
Right, so I chanced upon top 10 emerging technologies. According to CompTIA, Emerging Technology Committee selected the top 10 technologies that have near-term business and financial opportunity for the IT channel and those working in the business technology. So one is Internet Things. So when we talk about Internet Things, what are we talking about, for instance?
We're talking about Internet of Things. Let me just choose one example and break it down for you. So for instance, your fridge at home. Okay, currently right now you have a fridge, you put in bread, you put in groceries, tomatoes and all that, and you pick off it and cook, but the fridge doesn't talk to you. What we're talking about, Internet of Things, we're talking about now your fridge talking to you. Your fridge is able to know the amount of tomatoes in the fridge, assess when it was plucked and its lifespan and all that, and as you pick things out of your fridge, it knows the things you're picking out and can also dial into, say, Maxmart and order more tomatoes, fresh bread, and pay off your credit card and call I mean, a delivery company to deliver that to your home. That's what we're talking about.
Wow. Would that ever happen?
Exactly. Yeah, it will.
Would that
So
ever
we're talking
happen?
about things getting connected, and that feeds into 5G, where we need huge bandwidth to handle that kind of data going back and forth. So that's what we're talking about.
The 5G, I mean, as here in Ghana, the companies purporting to even use or have 4G.
We're not even implementing 4G.
It's not even being used. So are we ever going to get there at all? So the 5G, that is increasing our ability to move and manipulate and analyze data across wireless platforms. It will continue to drive the development of more complex apps to solve problems and increase growth across a wide array of industries.
Correct.
I mean, we've had a conversation of 5G here before with the CEO of Android 360. But then again, it was implemented in UK first.
Yeah.
Even there, they're having problems.
Tested, yeah.
Okay, tested.
It's under
But
testing,
even there, they're having problems. Are we ever going to get to the level of 5G?
No, every new technology, implement. No, in Ghana, we will get there. We will get there. But where we're supposed to have been leapfrogging, we're actually lagging behind in a lot of things. And so when we talk about emerging technologies, what it means in the UK and in America may not necessarily be what it means here, because then we are always lagging behind. But it's good to know about them though. But then we still have, basic technology, that are not yet implemented in our business, sectors and all that. We need to be able to come up to speed with existing technology to then talk about emerging technology. So it will take a bit of time, but they will get there. I
had Emmanuel Gadasu here from IIPGH, and we talked about data science as one of the biggest space to occupy now. That is in terms of businesses gathering unstructured and structured data, using them to implement and then develop these companies that they find themselves in. How can we take advantage of this data science area?
Data science area is a huge area. I mean, for instance, if you can pick a track and walk to University of Ghana campus to all the halls, and have data on what every single resident needs when they walk out of the hall to go to the shop to buy something. The person who needs credit, the person who needs to buy phone credit, and you're standing by their door, and you say, there's a credit you want, and goes, how did you know? I mean, somebody goes to buy food or pay for anything or buy clothing and stuff like that, and you have the right kind of clothes you have. That's what data science is supposed to do. These telcos we're on are supposed to have been collecting data, mining data from all our WhatsApp, our text messages, and the things we surf on and all that. Google does that a lot, because as soon as you search something, they start following you with advertising. That's basically what data science is supposed to be. Collect data about you, learn and profile you properly, and use that information to provide more services, the things you like. It will give you more of it. So basically, we're supposed to use that to improve. Data mining in our CSPS system would have been able to tell us a lot of things about the schools people are choosing, the grades that people are coming up with, the area of interest, in the schools and all that, the subjects they like to study, and where they're coming from, where, what demographic, are churning out, the kind of grades and the kind of courses. It would have given us a lot of data, and that would help us be more proactive than what we are now, because now we're being a lot more reactive. We're waiting for data to come. We're not learning from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. We're not doing that. And that's what data science is supposed to have afforded.
So artificial intelligence somehow, because there's a machine learning in there, somehow related to robotics in a way. I don't know, most of these things that we're talking about are interrelated. They're interrelated in a way, because 5G, artificial intelligence, robotics, data science, all, at the end of the day, you get to realize that they're all interrelated. Where do we move from here, as in currently where we are? I know the government is trying their best. They've done, as some few things that I've mentioned, the Ghana Post thing that they introduced, for instance. They've introduced the interoperability where you can send money from one network to another, which didn't happen. They're trying to do the paperless thing in the ports and the hospitals and all that. But what do we need to do to really catch up with what is emerging?
Well, first of all, we need to empower our education institutions and have a policy-driven, plan that drives learning of these technologies, the testing, the running of these, technology in our schools, universities, and all that. And of course, and whatever they develop, test them in the government institutions. We have the airports, we have the health sector, we have so many, the educational sector, the CSPS thing that we talked about, CSSPS thing that we talked about. Test it in all those areas and give, room for technology to take over the manual things that we usually do. That is one of the steps that we can take. But when it comes to the ordinary person, the ordinary IT guy in the street, we can apply technology to do so many things. I mean, like for instance, the existing technology that we have. For instance, we have the famous Auntie Muni Wache. She's just interested in cooking her wache and having people come to her to buy. But I live at Lakeside Estate and I want to eat that wache. Can I go online and download an app, for instance, that is able to link me to Auntie Muni's wache, and I can boutique my wache and choose the wele and all that, put it all together, and then pay online and have a delivery guy bring it right to my where you are. That's what IT people are supposed to be. There will never be another Google. There will never be another Facebook. As in, nobody can come up with a Facebook lookalike or a Google lookalike.
The Asian people tried it didn't work out. That ship is sailed
because they were present at a point in time, and they took advantage of the first being the first to market.
Facebook is getting into cryptocurrency.
Exactly. And then they moved technology from 0 to 1. But now you can't beat those companies. There will never be a Facebook. All we can do now is to move from 1 to N, meaning picking an existing industry and improving on it. Incremental, making incremental improvements as we go along. So this is what the average Ghanaian is supposed to be, fix their minds on, how to help existing businesses use technology,
basically. Take for instance, I'm a salesperson. I sell maybe airtime or products. In the few years to come, it's likely that this might be extinct. Maybe a company might not necessarily need my services. They can just post up some social media thing, and then somebody who needs it, just like we did for Auntie Muni. She's there. You don't need to move all the way from where you are. Come over and then buy. So how do I improve myself as a salesperson?
So as a salesperson, that's why computer coding and understanding computers will become the second language. So those who can just speak English, will become the second international language for you to speak. So as a salesperson, to be able to get business, you no longer will become that intermediary. Intermediaries will be cut out. So you need to learn how to use computers to aggregate the needs of so many people and become a distributor of some sort. And so there'll be very, so many niche players in various areas. For instance, a few years to come, banks will no longer exist. Banks will be swallowed by telcos. So any reasonable bank,
it's already started.
Any bank with a good with a good vision will be buying shares into telcos by now.
But even as at now, according to research, 70% of Ghanaians are unbanked.
We're unbanked, yes, but then it's likely that every single person the first bank account of most Ghanaians, those unbanked Ghanaians, will be mobile money. Not the traditional bank. And that's what will drive, the mobile money platform right now has the biggest market share when it comes to deposits. And so any bank with good visionary, instincts would want to buy shares in a telco. Because that's where.
All right. So it's beginning to look like everybody else in every sector that you find yourself probably have to do some little bit of IT and technology thing, top up whatever you're doing. Wow. All right. So your last words and the general conversation. What are the job opportunities that are available looking forward into the future with emerging technologies? So what are the job availabilities that are available for us?
For me, adding entrepreneurship to all of this, I would say that the existing jobs for an IT person, if you're looking for a job somewhere, that's a different story. But if you want to go solo and come up with something that gives you your daily bread, you'd have to attach, or you'd have to partner with existing businesses. The shoemaker who's beginning to make shoes needs IT to move to the next level, needs a website, needs, if you go into, bringing efficiency into little businesses around you, you will end up serving more businesses and making more money than waiting for the big, a big contract from the big, institutions. Right. That's what I would say.
All right, thank you very much, John Bonuedi. He's the CEO of Delbond Technologies. He joined us today to talk about emerging technologies and the job opportunities available. We talk about 5G, data science, and all that. So, if you're out there, even as a shoemaker or a seamstress, you need to upgrade, learn a bit of IT to know how to catch up with emerging technologies that are coming up. So it's a wrap on the Tech Talk today. God willing, next week we'll bring another episode. But don't forget, if you're out there, you have an app, you have a product to review or anything else, join us and send us a message on our email. It's queseheadstarts@gmail.com. queseheadstarts@gmail.com. We'll respond to you and get to find out how we can also have you here and then talk about your product as well. My name is William Diego Parker-Benin. We'll take a break now. When we come back, there's more right here on Head Start. Stay with us.